Hey friends, welcome back. This is Ashley with Uncommon Roots Homestead, and today I want to go check on Jeanie. I saw something really exciting that just happened over in the garden, so let's do it. Okay, so I was headed down to check on Jeanie because we think we're getting close to baby time, which is very exciting. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw this. Look how beautiful.
But this one didn't bloom. This one's didn't bloom.
It will. How's it smell? Those are gorgeous. Those peonies are gorgeous, and the variety, they are the Santa Fe Peony Blue Label is the brand. We got them at a local nursery here by us, but it kind of looks like this. That's their logo if you're interested in something similar. I love that two-tone. Peonies are just gorgeous. They have a really short blooming season. So unlike roses that'll bloom, pretty much all season, they're not like that, but they are gorgeous when they are in bloom. And they bloom every year. They're perennial. So it's enough to make it into my garden. So I'm going to walk down and check on Jeanie. Okay, so some of the reasons that we think that she might be getting close is that she has been changing. Her habits have been changing. She's not been coming up to see us as soon as we come in like usual. She's not been coming to eat her food as quickly as she usually does. And those are things that she used to like run up as soon as we came down here. So when their habits change like that, that usually means that they're getting close. She's been spending a lot of time down in like the wooded area. So I think we're getting close. Her udder also started to fill out. I'll show you that in just a minute when I go down there. So her body is starting to change too. So I think that we're close. Fury, get down. Also, Fury, our dog, got into our milking stool. So that's super fun. Okay, so I'm gonna show you what Jeanie looks like right now. I think we're within 2 weeks from my limited knowledge. Hey mama, you think we're getting close? So you can see her udder is definitely filling out. It's super tight. And her teats look much wider now than they did before. That's because they're all full. Now you don't want to squeeze those before she gives birth, so you want that plug to stay in there. But she's got some discharge, which I won't show you directly, but you can also tell she's starting to look a little thinner on the side. That was bulging much more. So that is where the baby is. The baby's always on the right side, and you can tell it's kind of turned to get into position. So I think we're close. I think we're close. All right, so like I said, I think that we're, somewhere within the next 2 weeks, we'll have a calf. We are going to visit some dear friends of ours next week. So what is it? Murphy's Law says that'll probably be when she decides to give birth. But we'll see. We'll see. I definitely think we're getting close. I'm seeing a lot of changes to her body and just the way that she's acting. So we're going to be in milk really soon, and we'll make sure to bring you all along for the journey. We're learning as we go. All right, so the next thing I've got to do today, I guess this is a join me for my chores day, but I need to water the garden. It has been overcast but dry. We're going into our second week with no rain, and there's none in the forecast. So we went ahead and filled up all the trash cans with water and brought some water over because our rain barrels are empty, and I'm gonna water. So I'm gonna get on that. Okay, so it turned out Jeannie's water was a little bit low. So we went ahead and I sacrificed 32 of my gallons to go obviously fill hers up. That's more important than the garden. So that means I did not get to water the rest of the garden. So I watered about half of this row. So all the other rows need to be watered. The peppers, all the 6x6 beds, the rest of the asparagus. I don't usually water the garlic and the onions. I'm just gonna leave those in all my herb beds. So definitely did not get nearly as much watered as I needed to, but that's life. And somehow the plants survive almost every time. So we're gonna bring more water tomorrow and I'll finish up the places I didn't get to water today. And then I try to water like every 3 days while it's not raining, unless something just looks really bad. Or if I have really young seedlings that need water daily. Most of my stuff is established, or the stuff that's just popping up. I'll just make sure to water lightly as I see it start popping up. But I guess cuts my watering a little bit short. Kevin's gonna go ahead and mow. We've got some friends coming to see the land for the first time, so we like to try to get it, looking pretty good. But I guess I'll walk down and check on the chickens and see how they're doing. Oh, and I can show you what I planted down there yesterday. Hey friends, it is later the same day. I am ready for bed. But I wanted to show you, I'm back over at the house and I wanted to show you what's going on in our little garden area here, because I kind of teased it that I had planted some extras over here. So I want to show you what I've got going on. Okay, so to add some context, this is our landscaping. It's the back of our landscaping bed facing the road. And then I've got my original 4x8 bed here. So I started planting in the back of this landscaping bed 2 years ago. I ran out of space and I didn't have, I guess, the buy-in from Kevin to add more beds. And so I was looking at our landscaping and I was like, you know what, there's a ton. I mean, look how much space here behind our landscaping that you can't see from the road. It's like it's probably 12 to 14 square feet right there that's just unused. And so we had some plants there. I went ahead and ripped those out. And then the soil was actually perfect. It was this really sandy mix. So I added some compost on top. Everything we put there has thrived since day one. So over here right now, I've got some of my peppers. I have my cayennes, and I also have some Italian long peppers in here. And then I've got some cilantro in the back there. That probably will be done here pretty shortly. And then my beans. So these beans all reseeded themselves here. They're way too thick, but I'm probably gonna leave them because it's our last time here. Those beans have been growing up that side for 2 years. Since I started planting in here, they've been reseeding. I've got 3 different types. Got greasy beans, string green beans, and then some stringless red. Honestly, I'm hoping the stringless red show up more than the others. And then over here in my 4x8 bed, I've got a couple more peppers, and then it's actually empty on that side. So it's like the first year that we don't know what we're gonna put there. I'm trying to think through, is there anything that we're growing over at the land that we'd rather have here first, like something that we want to easily harvest? We're just growing pretty much everything we want over in our other space, and so I just haven't committed to anything here. I was thinking maybe okra, because I don't grow okra anywhere else. We're not huge fans, but like, I would try. So yeah, we'll see. And then I can't go anywhere without showing you this mess of rose bushes. So these are knockout roses. There's 3 plants here together. When I originally put them here, my goal was, so right now I've got you standing kind of towards the road. My goal was to create like a secret, like hidden garden kind of back here. A place where you couldn't directly see when you were driving by the house. We're in a neighborhood. There's not a lot of privacy. I didn't want to feel like I was always being watched. I was in the garden, and I knew that knockout roses grow really quickly. So I put them in, and they've done exactly what I wanted them to do. They're gorgeous. They bloom about every 6 weeks. It's absolutely stunning in the summer. And they got huge really quickly. I mean, I put these in, again, like 2 years ago, and they're already as tall as I am. And we've pruned them every year. So if we didn't ever prune them, they would just take off. And I'm actually thinking that we're going to create a similar hedge with knockout roses once the construction of our house is done, coming down the driveway there. Because I think it's just, the way that they consistently bloom, knockouts are really hardy. They don't have a lot of pest pressure. I ended up with Japanese beetles last year, and they didn't even like touch the roses. They pretty much came out unscathed. So coming through this way, I've got 2 peach trees here. What's interesting with peach trees in our area, so peach trees do really well in like the warmer climates. So we're kind of right there on the line. We can grow peaches, but it's not super ideal for them. We've not had great luck here. We've had a lot of pest pressure, and honestly, it's just not been wonderful. We haven't gotten really any edible peaches, and we're not growing peaches at the new house. So that tells you about our experience. And then the last thing I've got over here is I have this beautiful cherry tree. So this cherry tree is about 3 years old, and it is growing really nicely. It actually had its first cherries this year, which we actually plucked off because we wanted to make sure that it continued to like put its focus on growing and becoming big and strong. I'm really sad about leaving this here. We've contemplated, digging it up by digging really far away from the roots to try to get under them. We'll see what we decide to do. It's not really an ideal location for this tree. If you can see from back here, I have 1 peach tree here and then 1 there, and then it kind of sits behind. So actually with the size of those peach trees, it's gonna be really shaded. So I think we might try to move it anyways, but I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the space that I started gardening in, right? Like, I didn't start with the amount of space that I have over at the land. I didn't start with, over 2,500 square foot of gardening space. I started with an 8x4 bed in the back of a landscaping bed and a little bit of space for trees. And then we expanded. Last year we expanded back into the backyard where we had 4 beds, 5 actually, and a deck built, but that's not where we started. And honestly, like, we didn't get the sun that we thought we would get back there. So it ended up being not the most ideal space for us. So all of that to say, you don't have to start at the scale that I'm gardening at right now. There is plenty of opportunity with less space. And honestly, you learn so much in a smaller space. And I wouldn't trade that time for anything because I learned what I'd like to grow. I learned what was a good growing condition versus a not so good growing condition. I learned about things in our climate, like the peach trees, things that just aren't going to do that well and that are going to have an uphill battle. We could grow peaches if we want, but there's a learning curve. We have to know how to treat them. We're going to need to spray them preventatively. We just learned a lot about that in this space. And so I wouldn't trade this time here for anything. And I hope that you take that into consideration when you're thinking about your garden space. Take inspiration from the people around you that you admire and the spaces that you admire. And it gives you ideas and dreams. I mean, I came up with so much inspiration for this space that I'm standing in right now. And I had dreams for it, right? If the opportunity didn't open for me to garden in a different place, I would be executing a lot of those dreams here, turning this into that garden space where I was using every square foot as an experience. But new opportunities came and we pivoted, and now we're putting our energy and focus into the new garden, and I wouldn't trade that for anything either. So I just want to encourage you, if you're in a place where you're thinking, I don't have that much space, like, is it really worth it if I can only garden in a 4x8? I got so much food out of this garden bed. And I added a couple little containers the year that I only gardened here, and there was so much food and it was so much learning, and it was an experience I wouldn't trade for the world. So I hope that encourages you, and I hope that you dive into gardening with whatever space you have, whether it's 1 container or an acre. It's an exciting time, and there's always lots to be learned. Thank you for joining me today. You always have a space here at the house in the garden, at the land in the garden, and on our farm. Until next time.